Greetings, programs. This is Wretch. Welcome back to Shadowrun Hong Kong. We're heading back to Heoi now. The clink of glasses and sound of Neville Ma's party fades into the distance as you leave the Repulse Bay. As the MTR carries you toward Heoi, the mountains of Hong Kong Island roll by as looming masses, obscured by rain and storm clouds. Penelope Wong has been fired from Promises and Moonlight, and Ma will be at a serious disadvantage without her. The whims of Trid viewers shift as readily as the tide, and without the Starlet's presence, Promises and Moonlight will undoubtedly lose ratings. However, with Ku Feng at his side, Neville Ma may be able to thwart any of Dr. Shen Yang's attempts to undermine his other business, which I'm okay with. It's kind of a nice little, no one really gains a serious advantage than with Penelope, which is what we were paid for. And now we will head back to the loveliness of Heoi and see what's going on here with all the vendors and such. We should be getting some good karma. Let's see. We gained 4 karma. Well, that's better than nothing, really. Objective added. Gain the evidence on Neville Ma to Shen Yang. What we got? Take the MTR to me. Oh, yeah. That's what we got to do. We still got a job to finish. So, let's go ahead and head over here. And it looks like we can level up our guys as well, up to their max. That's cool. Let's go ahead and do that. Well, no, let's finish this up. Alright, Dr. Shen Yang. Shen Yang is busily puffing away on a foul-smelling cigar, his comlink in one hand. His eyes flash with anticipatory glee as he sees you. Dr. Shen Yang greets you in the name of all producers. How'd the shindig go? I got the information you wanted. You explain the night's events from start to finish. As you speak, Shen Yang's face grows ever more incredulous until finally his mouth is left hanging halfway open. He slowly paces the cigar on a nearby ashtray and shakes his head in disbelief. That has got to be one of the single strangest stories I've ever heard. Vampires in the Trid industry? What a nightmare. Can't believe you let that leech keep sucking on Neville. Big ace to have in his pocket. But what if she starts biting on other people, actors and whatnot? Not an optimal outcome, but I guess it's okay. You got me Wong, and that means his show's dead. Alright, kid. I'll send payment to your Matrix drop. You earned it. Glad to be of help. Dr. Shen Yang is about to speak, but his comlink begins to buzz. Irritated, he answers it and switches to speaker mode. Yeah? Who is it? What do you want? Ooh. Hello, Shen Yang. I just wanted to let you know that I've released Penelope Wong from her contract. If you're still interested in her, she's all yours. Also, I hope your business is doing all right. I heard you had some problems with cash flow. If you need a loan, I'd be happy to help. Dr. Shen Yang eyes the image of Neville Ma with deep suspicion. You don't sound too mad, Nev. What's the catch here, anyway? You must have the next big thing lined up already. Oh, Doctor, there's no need for it. Do you want to know why I keep winning our little contest, and you're always playing catch-up? It's because you think people like Miss Wong actually matter. They don't. Stars are crafted, molded out of talent, yes, but ultimately constructed. With enough time and effort, anyone can be made into a star. It's just a question of manipulating public perception. Maybe so, but I got her now, and your show's dead in the water without the star. What do you think about that, eh? I think that I'm going to do what any good soap opera producer would do. Write her character out with a tragic death and bring on someone new. You labor under the misapprehension that viewers have loyalty. They don't. They only have appetite. As long as you chase stars like Wong, you will lose. Don't be afraid to think bigger, Doctor. Reach for the drama, not the dramatists. With that, Neville Ma hangs up on Dr. Shen Yang. For the next 30 seconds, Dr. Shen Yang releases a stream of violently imaginative incentives at his phone. Even Strangler Bao looks taken aback at the ferocity of Shen Yang's anger and the inventiveness of the sexual positions that he describes. Finally, he takes a deep breath and composes himself. Oh, that dirty little weasel, insulting my creativity like that, the noive. Go on, kid, we're done here. Thanks for all your help, but I gotta get going. Gotta talk to a guy about buying a bunch of snakes. Alright, cool. Now, let's go ahead and get our payment. And then we will see what's going on here around town. And level up our guys. And no special order, or no special talkie talks. 0 unread messages. Claim payment. Good work out there, kid. Here's the money I promised you. For 1,100. Okay. That'll do, pig. Now, let's access the Shadowlands BBS. Any relevant keywords? Nope. But we can post some pay data. The Repulse Bay construction plans. Every little bit helps. Okay, now. With Gobbet, we've got Augment Spell Haste. Gobbet formulates a new version of the haste spell that harnesses the latent wild magic of Hong Kong. Channeled Haste increases the friendly target's AP by 1 for 4 rounds. When cast, Gobbet's accuracy increased by 15% for 4 rounds. Shares a cooldown with other haste spells. Nice. Consume Spirit. Gobbet can now consume spirits and imbue herself with their power. Consuming a spirit heals Gobbet for 20 HP over 2 rounds, and her AP is increased by 1 during that time. That's kind of cool, but that haste spell, man, gotta go with the haste. Now, ISO, Sabotage. When ISO is jacked into the Matrix, attacks on her physical body are reduced by 3 damage. ISO's mini launcher now strips 1 armor with every normal shot. Let's do Sabotage. Okay. Duncan. Lethal Force. Shawawase Magnet Arm. Allowing him to throw back incoming grenades. Holy crap. A gas grenade. Choking gas, which does AP damage. No, I like the ability to... That's awesome. Throw grenades back. Gaichu. Whirlwind. Gaichu gains a katana attack that can hit adjacent targets. Plus 2 damage. Cannot do AP damage. Cooldown 2. Or regenerate. Gaichu gains an ability which lets him regenerate 6 HP per round for 3 rounds. AP cost 1. Don't get me wrong, I like that ability for Whirlwind, but that ghoul ability is too good. And Raktor. Melee system, Predator. Koshi's firearm systems are augmented with the addition of a heavy laser mount. It does plus 4 damage, plus 1 AP damage, and has a 5% accuracy over the standard attack. Yes, please. Confirm all the things. And now our guys are completely maxed out. Speaking of that, let's go ahead and spend some karma. Our strength is at 6. We can go ahead and pump up. Well, what can we pump up? What do we want to pump up is the 6. To get our key casting, we need our willpower up for that, though. I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and not spend any karma for right now. I know what we need to buy. First off, we are going to head to 10-Arm Ambrose and have a chat with him. And then we are going to see about buying this cybernetic. Actually get a little bit of our cybernetic worth of crap other than this claw that I never use. Except for like that first episode. And you don't have anything new to say to me, do you? Nope. That sucks. But that is what it is. Okay, with the weapons, we've got the shock hand. I believe that is what they were talking about. Hand razors, the cross cyber spur. Yeah, may do for accuracy. Allows for an enhanced stun attack on a 2D round cooldown. Alright. There. That's what we're going to get. And we will confirm. And we know it causes essence loss, but we already had that essence gone. So, let's see what that looks like. Oh look, I actually have my hands back again. Cool, I like that. Don't have that gauntlet sticking out. The gauntlet was pretty cool, but... Now, let's check out Club 88 here. Frederick watches the street with oh, alright, got a lot on his mind. We may not be able to have a chat with any of these guys quite yet. Let's double check. Yeah, okay. Nothing to talk about. That's okay, though. Maybe we need to do the first part of this point of no return quest, where we take to meet Dreamland before these guys wake up. You know, wake up in the terms of, we've got new stuff for you. Now, yep, nothing else here. Thank you, Mr. Law. Interesting. Well, let's go ahead and do a little bit of exploring, see if anyone new has popped up. You know how that can happen randomly. And obviously there's nothing going on here at the Go game. If nothing's going on at the Go game, I don't think I should even chat with Crafty. But we will, just to make sure. Algernon may show up out of nowhere. We can't let our guard down. And worst comes to worst, we can just take the new job and get after it. Okay. Cool. I like that. Right back down to business. We'll talk to the rest of the crew first, though. See if any of them have anything new. See if they have any thoughts about that last job, at least. Especially Gaichu. I think Gaichu's opinions on this will be quite interesting. Let's see here. We'll start with Wu first. Welcome back. What did you think about that last run? You didn't go on the last run, so we're not going to insult you. You are our friend and compatriot, and you will be with us when we go take on the plastic-faced man. Is0. Is this the same? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we've done this before. She's still having trouble with all of this. Alright, any thoughts about that last run? I have to admit, I had a lot more fun in Repulse Bay than I thought I would. Parties aren't really my thing, and I'd rather be slicing IC than cake. But how many people can say they went on a run to blackmail a rich guy and ended up fighting his vampire mistress? Nobody on Shadowlands would believe me if I told them the story. Not even a little. I don't get why Sheng Yang hired Shadowrunners, though. There are a dozen better ways to blackmail Ma. Get a Decker to plant evidence of embezzling, hire the Triads to crash his sets and intimidate his crew, burn down a soundstage or two. The way I figure it, he wanted to hire us because he's friends with Ma. It's a messed up friendship, but it's there. Wong got fired, but don't let Ku Feng hang around with Ma. But you let Ku Feng hang around with Ma. I don't get it. It would have been pretty easy to chase her off and rob him of a major ally. I guess Sheng Yang got what he wanted, but if he goes toe-to-toe with Ma, I'm going to bet on the guy with the vampire for a friend. Yeah, well, that was kind of the reason I did it, because I wasn't a big fan of Shen Yang. Noodles! Okay, hey again, did you need something? I've got a question about Is0. Ooh, okay. She told me that you let her out of the walled city when you were kids. Care to fill in details on that? Yeah, I guess I'm not surprised. He's never been big on padding a story with unnecessary detail. Want to tell your side of the story? Seems that I've got a vested interest in the walled city these days. Yeah, sure. Why not? I'll share. She taps her chin thoughtfully. This is why we talk to everyone, guys. To start, I guess you're going to need to know what the walled city was like when me and Is were kids. She didn't tell you anything about that, did she? She dropped some hints, but I'd like to hear your take on the place. Well, for starters, you probably know that the walled city wasn't always as bad as it is now. It's always dangerous, but 10 years ago it was just a run-of-the-mill slum. Still safe enough for walking and didn't qualify as a suicide attempt. I figured what I saw in there had to be the bottom of a downward spiral. The bottom? What you saw? No, Seattle. When you went into the Lotus Den, you were on the outer perimeter of the walled city. What you saw earlier is the best the walled city of today has to offer. As you go deeper toward the center, it gets a whole hell of a lot worse. Anyway, back when I was a kid, It's pretty much all like what you saw in the Lotus Den. Not exactly Victoria Harbor, but survivable if you knew what you were doing. Back then, I used to play in the walled city. Rat would lead me into all the nooks and crannies that grown-ups were too big to fit through. There was this one other young shaman in there that I used to play with. His name was Happy, or Lucky, something like that. He followed Pig. Nice guy, good card player. Obviously, none of this was a good idea. A teenage girl going into the walled city by herself, that is a recipe for disaster. I didn't realize any of this at the time, though. I loved playing in the alleys and crawl spaces of the walled city. It was fun. Is that how you met Iso? By exploring the walled city as a kid? Yep. Inside the wall there were these districts. You were in one earlier when Chang sent you after Strangler Bao, the Lotus Den. How many districts are there? A lot. Some of them are much bigger than an apartment building. You'd be surprised how many people you can cram into a single room when you have to. Iso and her family lived in the Mansion District. It's a sort of holding pen for refugees from the Middle East and Africa. Basically anyone who is an Asian, European, or goblinoid. It's less pleasant than it sounds. Why was it called the Mansion District? The locals named it after Chungking Mansions out of Simsha Sui. Sort of an inside joke. The mansions are the unofficial African quarter of Hong Kong. Most of the free enterprise zone's African immigrants settle there if they can afford it. The destitute refugees, like Is and her family, don't get into Chungking Mansions. They get herded into the walled city, and once they're inside, the Mansion District is where they wind up. Forced relocation, huh? I guess some things never go out of style. No, they don't. And once the refugees arrive in the Mansion District, their prospects don't exactly improve. The only thing that most of the people in the mansion had in common were the color of their skin and the fact that they were living in crushing poverty. They didn't even have a common language to speak. It was a pretty rough place. Lots of infighting, lots of gang-on-gang violence. People did band together for protection, but there wasn't a lot of hope. Everyone lived in fear of being sent deeper into the slum, toward the center. When you start getting dragged in that direction, you don't come back. Sounds like a charming place. Yeah, charming. And that's where I met Iso. It wasn't long before we were friends. She was interesting. I think that's why I let her latch on to me. The girl was smart and savvy, but cripplingly shy. She didn't belong in the walled city. No one really does, but with her it was painfully obvious. She was a little like a mouse crammed into a box full of weasels. It was only a matter of time before somebody snapped her up. So what happened? What led you to take her out of the walled city? Rat happened. She came to me in a dream, showed me that whatever was going bad in the walled city was getting worse. The whole place was rotting from the inside out, choking in bad ki and lost hope. I decided to go out inside one more time. If I found Isobel, I'd offer to lead her out. If I didn't, well, she grimaces and spreads her arms. Well, you did find her. Doesn't matter what would have happened if you hadn't. Thanks. It isn't pleasant to think about, especially considering what a dreckhole the walled city is now. The truth of the matter is, if I hadn't pulled Iso out of there, she'd probably be dead by now. Yeah, I get that. Someone did the same for me and Duncan once. She nods. Yeah, I knew that you'd get it, and I did bump into her, and she did follow me, and Rat got us both out safe. So, there you have it. Happy endings all around. What about Iso's family? She said that she said that they were still in the walled city. Why didn't you bring them with you? You think that I didn't want to? She sweeps a loose strand of hair out of her eyes. Look, if it was going to be dangerous enough to get Iso out of her town, or out of her own, dragging a whole family out of her with her would have been impossible. Why? Because they weren't like me and Is. They hadn't grown up on the streets. They were upper class, people back in Somalia before they immigrated to Hong Kong. They were hopelessly out of their element. Even if I had managed to find them, they probably would have done something stupid and gotten us killed. Wow. So you just left them? Damn right I did. Even if I managed to convince them to come with us, they would have gotten caught. The Yellow Lotus would have kidnapped them if they were lucky, and if they were unlucky, the Thrill Gangs or the Organ Leggers might have gotten them. It wasn't worth the risk to even try. She sniffs. Besides which, Iso didn't want to bring her family. She wanted to get away from them as much as she did the walled city. Never could get her to tell me why. What about the other people who stayed behind? The other rat shaman the other shaman that you knew. He followed pig, not rat. They went bad. Crazy. That pig shaman that I knew wound up going full-on toxic. It was horrifying. He burned himself out in an orgy of blood. He shudders. Nasty business. And not for me. Toxic? What does that mean? When a shaman goes toxic, he goes bad. It's like if you invert the usual meaning of a totem. That's what a toxic shaman does. Dog shamans are loyal and friendly, like all good dogs are. A toxic dog shaman is rabid. They're both dog, but they're different aspects of dog. Get it? Yeah, and your pig shaman friend went toxic. That's what I heard. You don't want to know what happened to him, what he became. It was pretty bad in the end, before the locals overwhelmed him. A lot of people died. Alright, that's all of that. Is that pretty much all? Oh wait, I gotta ask about thoughts about the last run. Man, if every job we get could be about going to fancy parties and stealing their food and booze, I'd be a happy camper. I don't understand why those Trid types get in their weird rivalries, but I sure as hell won't turn down money to help them blackmail each other. I have to wonder, do you have a soft spot for vampires or something? I mean, it's awfully nice of you to let Ku Feng live, but don't you think it's dangerous to let her hang around in public? Sure, we got Wong fired from the show, but even so, Ku Feng seemed pretty new to the whole vampire thing, though. I'm betting she'll piss the wrong person off and end up with a stake in her chest sooner or later. Apparently my decision was not particularly popular. Now, Iso... Okay, we have a question about the walled city. Oh, here we go. She cleanses her jaw and nods. Go on. Gobbet told me about your escape from the walled city, just like you said she would. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Why are you telling me about it? Because the answers she gave me raised more questions. And you want me to answer them for you. Alright, Sean. Maybe I can satisfy your curiosity. The walled city was a hellhole. You already know that. But for all its failings, it was a good teacher. It taught me to hide, to stay small and unnoticed and insulated, to survive. It taught me that the fish on the perimeter of the school get eaten, that sticking your neck out is a fool's errand, but that even fools can have their uses. It also taught me to recognize a stronger person when I met one, and how to use that strength for my own benefit. So when I met Gobbet, I knew that she had something I didn't. Her magic, you mean? She nods, and her connection to Rat, and her willingness to risk her own neck on a whim. We were different people then, still are now, but the differences were even more pronounced when we were kids. Care to elaborate on that? Gobbet was playful and carefree. She could hold her own in a scrape, and she mostly saw life as a game. As for me, well, I knew that it wasn't. I couldn't have been more than 9 or 10 at the time, but even at that age, I saw Gobbet for what she represented, what she could be. And what was that? My own personal road out of the walled city, a path to freedom disguised as a little girl with dreadlocks. And as it turned out, I was right. She pauses, her eyes flit to the ground, and she tightens her hands into fists. Ever since I unlocked these damned memories, I can't go 10 minutes without thinking about what might have happened if I hadn't followed Gobbet out of that place. It's like a vicious cycle running over and over in my head. I hate it, but it won't stop. I feel guilty. You needed help and you took it. That's nothing to be ashamed of. Gives me another reason to feel grateful to her, I guess. That's something. I've always known that I owed Gobbet, but now I remember how much and why. Anyway, that's my side of the story. I hope that it satisfied your curiosity. Now, let's move on. Gobbet said that you didn't want her to guide your parents out of the walled city, that you wanted them left behind. She nods miserably. Yes, but not for anything that they'd done. My parents were good people. They fled Somalia to try and find a better life for their children. It wasn't their fault they wound up in the walled city. I wanted them left behind for me. For you? What do you mean by that? Isn't it obvious? She taps her temple. This. I knew what I was going to have done. I'd planned it well in advance. After I got out, I was going to find someone who could make my childhood go away. How would that have stuck if my parents were around? If I had a living reminder right there next to me? They wouldn't have. So they had to stay. Ooh. Man. That's pretty cold. It's survival. Besides, I was sure that they'd be fine. They were my parents. Grown-ups. They'd be all right. She heaves a sigh. Before you ask, I checked. They're gone now. I can't go riding their rescue. I made a decision when I was a kid. It felt like the right one at the time, and now I have to live with it. Well, we all have to live with things that we regret. Now, I didn't always. Until very recently, I couldn't remember any of this. Now, let's change the subject, okay? Anything else would be fine. Why did you have your memories locked away? Why do you think? They were awful. Traumatic. I'm not talking about personal trauma here. I was fortunate enough to avoid the fates of many of my peers. I didn't get pressed into service in a brothel. The organ leggers didn't get me. I only had to watch one of my siblings die. So, yeah, it could have been worse, but that doesn't make an early life in the walled city any easier to bear. But hang on, you watched one of your siblings die. She nods. Yes, my older brother, Cabdel, heroin overdose. He was 19, almost the same age that I am now. I'm sorry you had to watch that. Me too. You want to hear something awful? I almost envied him. He got out easy compared to a lot of people who died in the walled city. There was no violence. He wasn't taken by organ leggers or gunned down by the triads. He just put a spike in his arm, depressed the plunger, and stopped breathing. Quick and easy. Well, you could have done the same, but you didn't. You were stronger than that. Ooh, that's probably not the best thing to say. Just say I'm sorry. Don't be. His death was a lesson, and I did my best to learn from it. Everything that happened in my childhood was that way. A lesson in disguise. Lessons about impermanence and the random cruelty of life. Lessons about what a huge mistake it is to get attached and how to prioritize your own survival no matter what. I learned some of the same lessons when I was a kid. She nods. I know. We all carry the same scars. You and me and Gunshow and Gobbet. Some run bigger and deeper than others, but we've all got them. Her voice goes small. I don't want mine anymore. Abruptly, she turns away. And that's enough of that. Ask me something else, Sean. I don't want to talk about this anymore. There was a man here in Heoi who was ranting about the Yama Kings. His hair had gone white with fear, and I watched him die. That was a while back. She nods miserably. Yes, it happened when I was a kid, too. Not often, but occasionally. People would have bad dreams and then become obsessed with them, consumed by their own dread. When I was a kid, we viewed it as kind of a local malady, dream madness. Mostly affected people with other problems, dementia, paranoia, phobias, that kind of thing. And people would just shrivel up and die because of the dreams? Basically, but like I said, it didn't happen often. I remember one old woman, Auntie Quang. She had skin like parchment paper, and she baked egg tarts for the neighborhood kids. And we liked her. She was good. One day, Auntie didn't come out of her apartment. She was always up and about by 6 or 7 in the morning, and it was part of her routine. For her to sleep past noon was unthinkable. Naturally, the grown-ups assumed that she passed in the night. She was old and frail. It was bound to happen sooner or later. So a neighbor, Mr. Ejid, went in to check on her and collect the body. What did he find? She wasn't dead. What he found was much worse than that. She pauses and looks you in the eye. Oral surgery was involved. You don't want to hear the rest. Yes, I do. You recover these memories for us. The least I can do is listen to them. All right, your call. Auntie had been busy that morning. She'd put her knife skills to work on her own tongue. She carved it out, plated it, and ripped out most of her teeth for garnish. She'd bitten down on a coal from the fireplace to keep from bleeding out. Wow. And you think that a dream made her do this? Yes. She did what she did to protect herself from Quinn Ya. Or, yeah, King, or I don't know if that's Quinn or Kian Ya. How so? The old stories said that she would claim you as a slave by tying your tongue into a knot. No tongue, no slavery. The old lady didn't want to take any chances. Unfortunately for Mr. Ajid, she didn't want him to take chances either. She was a sweet old thing, always looking out for her neighbors. Thanks to the dreams, she knew what was at stake. She wanted to help. The other adults didn't make it into Auntie's apartment in time to save Mr. Ajid's jaw. It was hanging by a thread by the time they got there. She always had a steady hand with a cleaver. Did he live? Yes, but I think he wished that he hadn't. Replacing a jaw is expensive, and Mr. Ajid had no money. He had to settle for a life of miserable silence, hiding the wound in his face and slurping broth through a tube. As for Auntie, she suffered an aneurysm, dropped dead as the grown-ups were trying to get her to what passed as a clinic in the Mansion District. But she died with a smile on her face. She knew that her soul was safe. Lord above. Is there anything else? Nope, that's about it. Holy crap. Well, that was fun. That was some nice story time with ISO. Now, Gobbet, do you have anything new? Do we have to go back and forth between you guys? Apparently not. Well, I'm going to... Gunshow didn't have anything else to say. Let's go ahead and talk to Ractor and Gaichu real quick, because I do want to get on to the next mission. Welcome back. And you didn't go with us on that last run, Ractor. So I guess just Gaichu. Anything new in the memento box? Oh. Okay. There's the hairpin. We have seen the hairpin. Yes, we have. Okay. Now, what does Gaichu have to say? Welcome back. What can I do for you, Shen? And we've already asked him these questions. What did you think of that last mission? Gaichu shakes his head, running a hand over his scalp. Vampires, trid producers, fancy parties. That is not the sort of affair I assumed I would be participating in as a Shadowrunner. It seems strange, this rivalry between Shen Yang and Ma. Most professional rivals don't hire augmented killers or freelance mages to solve their problems. Yet Shen Yang was insistent that only outside help could solve his problem. Why not simply kill Ma? Social mores in this city elude me, I confess. I am also unsure why you chose to let Kufang stay with Neville Ma. I suppose it did not matter for our pay. Since Wong will be fired, Dr. Shen Yang will undoubtedly be happy with the outcome. But a vampire running loose in Repulse Bay? I am certain that someday she will become too cocky for her own good. Say what you will of ghouls, but at least our appetites are not so deep or permanently damaging as a vampire's. Okay, well, people are confused, but I think I made the right call. No worries. Helping her get her potential, she may be able to help us a little bit later, or she could have got more powerful and we fight her. No idea. But I'll tell you what, guys, I will end the episode here, and in the next one, we will go ahead and I think we only have one more mission left in the computer. Do we? Oh no, we've got two. We've got the urgent task and data retrieval. So we'll probably do the urgent task next, but we'll read up on that, and we will get to it next time. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you liked the episode, go ahead and click like down below, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, that'd be a big help, and we'll see you next time. Later days, everyone.